Microsoft Azure Services vulnerable to SSRF server-side request forgery. Microsoft Azure, one of the most popular cloud service providers, has recently made the news because of newly discovered security vulnerabilities in their services. On January 17, 2023, it was made public that 4 vulnerabilities were discovered across Azure services last year that made them vulnerable to server-side request forgery attacks, or SSRF. The affected services included Azure API Management, Azure Functions, Azure Machine Learning, and Azure Digital Twins. What is a server-side request forgery? This is a web application attack where an attacker exploits a weakness in a server that allows them to access or manipulate information on that server. By allowing the hacker to read or update internal resources, this type of attack may result in breaches to data confidentiality and integrity. What action did Microsoft take? Microsoft was notified by a third-party security researcher of the presence of these vulnerabilities in late 2022. In response, Microsoft released patches between November and December 2022 to resolve these issues. No action was required on the part of users. What was the impact? According to a researcher, Lador Ben Shikrit, these SSRF vulnerabilities could have had a significant impact on Microsoft Azure services if left unpatched. Specifically, an attacker could have used it to gather sensitive information including tokens, host names, security group info, MAC addresses, and user data. At this point, it's unclear if any companies were attacked, compromised before the patches were deployed. How to protect yourself against third-party risks? Even though this vulnerability was created by a flaw in Azure, there are still some security controls that you could implement to reduce your risk of exposure to these types of attacks. Input validation. Make sure you check all user inputs for malicious code. Implement principle of least privilege. Run user inputs with the lowest possible permissions. Check for misconfiguration. Make sure your server is configured properly and limit access to sensitive data. Conclusion. The situation is a good example of inherent risk that comes with using a cloud provider or any third-party vendor for your IT infrastructure. While it comes with great convenience, it also comes with potential risks. In this case, 4 separate Azure services had been unknowingly vulnerable to SSRF attacks for an unknown amount of time until security researchers discovered the issue and raised it to Microsoft. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel and visit our website to learn more about cybersecurity.